You know what this is? This is racist, okay?
Oh no, bro.
Mr. Beast has, if this is what Kai can do, this has happened with Mr. Beast already. The only reason why you probably never saw the coverage of it is because, one, I didn't cover it, or two, Mr. Beast is more of a brand at this point. So it was at a mall, there was like security, there was all.
Yes! See the difference, dipshit?
But the most important part of this conversation is Mr. Beast is white, and his fan base is white. This has happened with the NELK. It was a better comparison. Shoot, here, this was definitely a little bit more organized, but I'm pretty sure this was like chaotic.
A little bit more?
As well, right? Yeah, look, there's like barriers, there's like shit ton of security.
Yes! Actual brain rot. Actual brain rot. Kai is getting charged with the shit that he did because he did it. Has nothing to do with him being black. Has nothing to do with those kids being black. He's just instilling it with this like light because that's his ideology. That is his echo chamber. And any other information that gets presented to him will be disregarded because he has those mechanisms in place to be able to just like shut it off. It would be easy to just like take all of the Hasan talking points and just like be like, oh, I'm a communist, blah, blah, blah. Cops are bastards, capitalism ruins everything, black people are always being blamed for everything, shit like that. It's like, it's so fucking easy because you have an audience of people who are going to like suck you off for saying the dumbest shit. Okay, so I just find it hard to believe that nobody's on that team expected that many people to show up, and they're constantly doing reckless things like shooting a crap ton of fireworks in their mansion. Apparently they bought a car and wrecked it. I think they're just dumbasses. I don't think there's any like conspiracy or anything like that. Like, how much more like attention can you get when you literally were the biggest Twitch streamer in the whole fucking world? You know what I mean? So I think they're just stupid. That's the only thing I could fucking chalk it up to, is that they're just dumb fucks. They're all like 19, 20-year-olds. A lot of attention on them. They probably thought it would be like a fun event to do, but like, I don't think there like was literally any thought that went into it. It's weird to me too that there's some people defending it, or if there's anybody who criticizes it, they're getting called like, oh, you guys are just fear mongering because they're black and shit like that. It's like, no, it's not the fucking case, you dipshit motherfucker. People like Hasan mainly basically saying that people's like outrage over it is unwarranted, or that they're showing the worst parts of it to rage bait people into getting like hyped up against black streamers or something like that. And it's like, dude, you're an actual dumb fuck.
Streamer Kai Cenat was supposed to do a meet and greet and a giveaway at Union Square. Guess what? It, of course, predictably went south because they're massively successful, massively popular content creators, and it turned into a riot. Breaking. Large crowd at Union Square spotted hurling objects, setting off fire extinguishers. Watch live coverage now.
Try to zoom in with our camera there and get a better look.
Dude, look at how many people there are. That is insane. Holy shit.
Again, it's that grouping here.
Holy shit.
This is crazy. Look at this mayhem, dude. This is insane, dude. People are fighting in the crowd.
Jesus
it's not a riot,
Christ.
it's a rally. Nah, this ain't right. People getting jumped. Cars are getting broken into. Businesses are straight looted. All because Kai Cenat wanted publicity. Shaking my head. Okay, businesses are starting to get looted. What the? You know what this is? This is racist, okay?
Oh no, bro.
Straight up. Yeah, they're rowdy. They're rowdy teenagers. They're making it seem like this is an organized crime ring. The one time you see like a bunch of black teenagers around, you're like, oh my God, guys, businesses are being looted. Bro, that is insane. I can't believe he's like diving into that crowd.
They split up.
What the fuck? What is happening? This is fucking mad. Did the cameraman die? What is going on? Let me tell you something, okay? The bedlam and the chaos caused when it's like organized sport event and a celebration is never reacted to in a similar capacity when it's like black.
I feel like the lens he looks at through the world at the world is through this lens of racism. That's a lot of the driving force for a lot of the shit that he says. If there is an instance where somebody might be racist in their criticism of something, he'll pull on that. Like, that's just like the way he sees the world. Everything's about race. Like, it's all part of it. If people are criticizing it or stating something like the fact that they brought up looting, he immediately connected it back to like BLM riots and shit like that. He claims that anybody who was criticizing it were criticizing it disingenuously because overarchingly there was a positive net good because of the BLM protests and not the riots. He claims that people focus on the riots instead of the actual protests, but he's dismissing that the fact that the riots even happened or that the looting even happened. To anybody criticizing that part of it would be like racist. And it'd be the same here.
Teenagers involved or black people.
But he's dismissing it as like, they're just rowdy teenagers. Duh. Like, obviously they're going to do this. It's like, they don't have to. Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard.
People involved in general. Oh, look at them swarming.
Also, before we even, whatever, like, who gives a fuck? He didn't even stop to think like, okay, is there actually any looting happening? If there's not looting happening and that's not like a justifiable claim, then you can maybe say that person that made that claim was racist. Even at that point, it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if people were fucking running around. They're already beating the fuck out of each other. They're beating the fuck out of each other. They're hopping on cars. They're stomping out windows and shit like that. Like, it's not like a skip, hop, and a leap to the fucking fact that they might be stealing shit. And I feel like that has nothing to do with racism.
Oh my God, dude, he's gonna die. This is crazy. This is January 6th. This is crazy. Dude. Look at the size of this fucking crowd. This is actually very dangerous. Okay, I'm sorry. It's hard for me not to be a fucking boomer here. This is literally how crowd crush happens.
What do you mean a boomer? Just say it. Like, they are doing something that's actually bad. It's not a boomer take. Just fucking go with it, dude. Like, you can see how fucking dangerous that this can be, not only for the kids, not only for Kai Cenat, but like for the people that fucking live there. Like, what the fuck?
This is so fucking scary. God damn it. I'm sorry. I'm 32 years old. On the one hand, I'm conflicted because like this is kind of sick, but on the other hand, you have to have like proper venue for something like this. That congestion is untenable. That is how crowd crush happens. That's terrifying. I hope nothing bad happens. I do hope that no one dies. Holy fuck. Holy moly. Right now, there's two different things that they need to do. One, they need to stop additional people from gathering into the crowd and making the crowd larger. Two, they need to start pulling slowly but surely. You can't do this with like tear gas. You can't do this with like actual fucking anti-riot measures, because then that chaos will actually make the crowd crush happen. It will make it way more likely. So you have to slowly but surely start pulling people from the outsides and just like open it up as best as possible. I feel conflicted because a Twitch streamer having this level of power and prominence is crazy. Why is Hasan hating on Kai? I'm not. If anything, people are going to get mad at me for being too nice about the situation, because like this could be technically very troublesome. I'm not hating on him at all. I'm literally in the middle of like fucking saying like it's wild that he has this level of influence, so much so that it like got out of control, even though he had good intentions. I think we are now officially in an era where like if you're a Twitch streamer, if you're a live streamer that is like large enough, you have to do this in a professional way. I think Kai being black and his audience being like black as well also will factor into the way that the media covers this. You know what I mean? Because people will immediately be like, oh, this is gang activity. Like when the NELK boys does
What the fuck?
something like this, or when Mr. Beast does something like this and it gets out of control, they're white.
Okay, hold up. The Mr. Beast thing was specifically done in a super planned out, thoughtful way. They knew what the fuck they were doing, and they knew the type of crowds they were gonna bring in. What? This is not comparable to like the Mr. Beast thing. I have no idea what the NELK boys did, but it has nothing to do with the race of them. Gang activity? Man, this guy, oh my God. It's wild to me that the motherfuckers that are like so like they claim to be anti-racist are the only ones that see race in literally everything. No. Mr. Beast, no, okay, so that they showed like, okay, I watched like a whole like documentary of everything that happened. Nothing happened. Like they basically rented out that mall to sustain the people that were there. And there was a fuckload of people there, but like they bought the mall, like they basically planned for the mall to be that packed. There was security all over the place. There was all kinds of like plans in place for the whole process during Mr. Beast's thing. This isn't the same. And it's not, the difference isn't white or black. The difference is the planning that went into it, the thought that went into this whole like endeavor. Because you can do something like this, or Kai could have done something like what Mr. Beast did, but he didn't. That's the difference. It has nothing to do with whether you're white or black. Like Hasan's just a dumb fuck.
Their audiences are white, so it's like, oh, these are kids that are being crazy. I mean, fucking influencers, who gives a shit? They're crazy, they should stop.
And also, like, there's not another example of another group of people doing this level of shit. Like, it's not like that. That's not the fact that they are black or white or whatever the fuck they are. They're doing bad shit. Like, it's not about the color of them. They're stomping on fucking cars, smashing in the windows and shit like that. The news is going to cover it this way. Yeah. because they are doing abhorrently bad shit. In Mr. Beast's case, if they were like smashing windows, like running around, beating the fuck out of each other, kicking doors in and shit, or trying to like break down the other closed stores, because all the other stores were closed for Mr. Beast's Beast Burger opening or whatever the fuck. There was a lot more structure to it. This was just like, hey, show up in the fucking middle of New York.
Stop that, right? People will be critical of it, but they will not be critical of it in the same way that they're going to be critical of this. Because we've seen stuff like this happen time and time again. But the reality is that the coverage on it is always going to be teens are excited to see their creator, which is true. That is what's going on. And, you know, maybe there will be some legal repercussions, but the way that this will be received by a broader audience will absolutely be seen from the lens of white supremacy. They're going to be like, black agitators, look at what they're doing to cops. Like, you're going to see Fox News.
Oh, God, he's so cringe, dude. He's like, he literally sees the world through white supremacy. And it's fucking insane. It's like, bro, you see what's going on. Can you even point to an example of where Mr. Beast's shit was like this level of fucking crazy? Like, I don't even think so. Like, it's not just the fact that there are a lot of people there. It's also the actions that they're taking.
Coverage on this shit going crazy. I can see Donald Trump talking about this, being like, look, crime in New York City. Crime in New York City. Look, when I was president, I would have allowed this to happen. Joe Brandon. Of course, people with time to watch people play video games all day would also have time to go out and cause a riot, get a job. Telling people to get a job when they're like very clearly 12-year-olds is pretty funny. Nobody's got anything better to do. They're all fucking children, you know?
They're not all children. Like, there's a lot of them for sure children, but I mean, I guess that's not really a big point, but like, he's trying to downplay it just because they're like kids. Maybe a lot of them are kids, but they're like old enough to know not to be dipshits. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
I mean, it's like, calm down. Look at this. Look, like, they're all kids. Like, you can tell they're all kids. There is nothing these fucking losers hate more than like teenagers getting rowdy. They fucking lose their minds, okay? Oh, Jesus. The Republican media is gonna fucking, they're gonna make mincemeat out of this. Kai Cenat gets put in the back of a police car after Union Square Park giveaway goes wrong. Is it him? I don't think that's him. Oh, shit, it might be him. Yeah. The ABC 7 lady really wants to see Kai get arrested. Wait, really? Oh my God.
It has been a very difficult and touchy situation as we hear that police are now armed with pepper spray and batons. They have their helmets and gear on. Whereas
Dog, they're
initially
kids.
we saw officers who were...
Stop downplaying it. Don't downplay it just by saying they're kids. That, like, you don't even know that. You have no clue. It doesn't matter. It's a big group of, like, it's a force. It's a force of a fuckload of people condensed in one area. Like, you're downplaying it saying, like, it's just kids. It doesn't fucking matter. They're old enough to know not to do shit like this.
Kids.
not prepared to help get rid of this crowd in a fashion because it
What
was
the
just
fuck?
so...
Imagine
And plus, there's like video of like grown-ass men like socking each other up. They're fighting. They're beating the fuck out of each other. There's no shot. You're just saying this. You're actually closing your eyes while you fucking do this shit.
Mr. Beast has, if this is what Kai can do, this has happened with Mr. Beast already. The only reason why you probably never saw the coverage of it is because, one, I didn't cover it, or two, Mr. Beast is more of a brand at this point. So it was at a mall, there was like security, there was a
Yes! See the difference, dipshit? Holy shit! The difference was it was structured. It's not about there was a big group of people. It's about how that shit was structured to be planned out. They knew that it was going to be that way, so they fucking had the mall ready. Everything was closed down except for the store, and it was one line up into the fucking store. I think they paid some amount of money for the mall to be closed for like 24 to 48 hours or some shit like that. You can't tell the difference between these two instances? Between Mr. Beast and Kai? Like, come on.
But the most important part of this conversation is Mr. Beast is white, and his fan base is white. This has happened with the NELK, which is a better comparison, or Logan Paul, which is a better comparison. And when those things actually also turned into a massive commotion, you don't get a lot of media coverage that you will see in this circumstance. This has happened time and time again. But the reason why there will be more media coverage on this is because bad faith political actors will turn this into a larger thing. Like, not that it's like an influencer who wanted to do a giveaway, and then that giveaway turned into something more, right? And it got out of control. But instead, they'll be like, look at all these Zoomers that are out of control. Look at all these black teenagers that are out of control. Crime is out of control. This is the narrative that they'll run and make it a larger issue.
He's predicting. He hasn't even seen it yet. Like, this hasn't happened yet. Now, there's probably going to be people on Twitter that do that, but there's no shot that there's mainstream news going to be like the fucking, like, you're not going to see any headlines on news. Like, what you're watching right now is actual just standard coverage. They're not saying shit. They're like, yeah, this is what's happening in our fucking city. That's why they're covering it.
Here, this was definitely a little bit more organized, but I'm pretty sure this was like chaotic
A little bit more?
as well, right? Yeah, look, there's like barriers, there's like shit ton of security.
Yes! Actual brain rot. Actual brain rot.
That's why comparing to Mr. Beast is not the best example, but
Yeah.
instead compare it to like,
Don't compare it, you dipshit.
like the NELK boys. Yeah, here.
I'm getting
sure,
hype. I'm getting
and it's
hype.
in the-
I need to chill. All right? I gotta chill for a second, okay? Gotta chill. Got a vibe for a second, right?
News now because it's the site of a potential super spreader of COVID.
They also covered this because it was like during COVID. They covered it like from the COVID angle.
That was organized by a group of YouTube pranksters. They call themselves the NELK boys. Then the cops showed up.
The reason why I'm showing this to you is so you understand like how the media covers different stories differently.
The multitude was drawn to the house by this video posted on social media by the popular YouTube personalities, the NELK boys. Things got out of control pretty quickly.
The difference is our racist uncles are not going to know about the NELK boy shit. Plus the NELK boys are also like Trump supporters. But you definitely are going to hear from your racist ass uncle about this Kai Cenat boy. What's he doing? He doing right out there. All these black teenagers are running around looting a business.
You didn't show shit. First off, if we're going to just compare the knowledge we have of both these situations, the footage we've seen from Kai Cenat's shit is way more damning. Way more damning. Whatever we just saw in that NELK clip that we just looked at, that's not as damning. It looked like a bunch of fucking people in one area. Now, maybe they did cause a fuckload of damage. Maybe they were jumping on top of cars and stomping windshields and shit, but you didn't show that. Can I even fucking find some shit like this? NELK boys massive meetup news. 4 suspects sought for blah, blah, blah. Oh, 4 suspects sought for assault at NELK boys meetup in Fort Worth, police say. NELK boys kicked out of Jersey Shore house for a huge party. 4 suspects sought for assault at NELK boys meetup in Fort Worth. It looks like they covered it. Just because you didn't watch it doesn't mean it didn't get covered. Yeah, apparently there was 4 people who assaulted people. Here, let's watch this video.
Meet your next pillow.
Fuck!
Why do we make
I'm on the wrong account.
Fort Worth police are asking for the public's help in identifying 4 suspects accused of assaulting a tow truck driver. We do want to warn you that you may find this video disturbing. Authorities say the incident, captured on cell phone video, happened on March 15th near the Fort Worth stockyards. Police say they were helping control a large crowd for a social media fan event when they were informed that a tow truck driver was being assaulted by the individuals involved in the crowd for trying to tow an illegally parked vehicle. Now, if you recognize any of these 4 people...
Yeah, they're covering the fucking footage. This isn't... I don't know what Hasan's even saying. Like, they covered it. The problem that happened, they covered it.
They went into Walgreens, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna hear a bunch of different fucking insane shit. How come our big, beautiful president, Donald Trump, is going to jail for not inciting a riot on January 6th, which was just a regular tourist occurrence, but this Kai Cenat kid, he ain't going to jail. It's because he's black, isn't it? That's why. God dang liberals. Here's what's happening right now. They're getting things under control by arresting them. The maximum amount of violence, if there was no crowd crush or anything that happened there, the metric ton of violence that will occur on this day will happen at the hands of cops that are brutalizing and beating the shit out of teenagers, children. Now, do I think it is irresponsible? Do I think it got out of control? Absolutely. But let's be fucking really clear on this, okay? At first, due to...
So what do you think the fucking cops are supposed to do? Like, yeah, they gotta arrest some people. Like, what are we talking about? If they don't leave, you're gonna end up having to arrest them. Like, I don't understand.
Fears that there would be additional commotion that would actually harm a bunch of people's lives. They didn't do a lot of like pushing and you know, tear gassing or anything like that, which was good. They were handling the crowd decently well. I hate to hand it to the NYPD in any capacity, but they were doing all right. Of course, now that the actual commotion is over because they successfully did this, now they're gonna move on and start actually throwing bracelets at kids, beating the shit out of them.
This is video from earlier, to be clear, but Chucky Beckford is...
Oh no, a cop got hit in the face. He's a fucking water bottle, dude. Drop a nuke on him. According to the New York Police Department spokesperson, he is now in their custody, so it's confirmed. He is officially in the custody of the NYPD, okay? Cenat, a popular personality on Twitch and YouTube, was in law enforcement custody after a crowd of hundreds turned unruly after a promise to give away video game consoles. I think his suspicion was that like there would be like 500 people or like 1,000 people max.
No. You don't go to New York, one of the most population-dense fucking cities in the entire world, and expect 500 people in the dead center of the city? What are you even saying? He was the biggest Twitch streamer last year, if not this year still. In 1 month, he had like 300,000 subscribers. In 1 month. That's fucking insane. You're... rat.
I'm just glad that it didn't turn into a larger commotion. As far as I understand, the goal from AMP was to do a giveaway operation, stay off the streets and stream or something like that. That's what they called it. Their goal was to give like PlayStation 5s, gift cards for streaming equipment, things of that nature. Obviously, they were unsuccessful considering what happened. I don't think they foresaw it getting this out of control. You know what I mean? Like, here, let me explain something to you guys, okay? The water bottle being thrown at a cop, that's not great. It's not nice, right? They're showing that as like gross depictions of violence. They're like fucking trying to kill cops. Look at this. And then...
No, what the fuck? I feel like that's not what... Oh my God.
And they glance over imagery of police officers arresting people, arresting teenagers with their fucking entire body weight on them. What do you think is more violent? Getting hit in the head by a fucking water bottle or like being physically apprehended and handcuffed? One is...
Well, the cops have a monopoly on violence. That's fine. That's what we want. It's not, I mean, if they are overdoing it, then we don't want that. Who else is supposed to fucking take care of these fucking things? They have that monopoly on violence because we need somebody to have that in order to like take on that liability, to take on those problems.
Seen as a violent act because it is against cops, which currently hold the state's monopoly of violence. That is seen only as a violent act if you're going against the cop. If the other side of that happens, if a cop actually is like apprehending you, cop actually is beating the shit out of you, that's not considered violence, that's considered the norm. The state's monopoly of violence and the way that violence is interpreted through the lens of the fucking population is not a new concept. There are numerous different kinds of violent acts. There's also structural violence, like the structural violence of poverty, okay? There's also direct acts of violence. As far as direct acts of violence goes, it doesn't matter. If a cop is engaging in it, then it's considered normal. It's considered the norm. If a person who's not a police officer doing it against the police officer, that's considered the most egregious act of violence that you can engage in. Looks like the NYPD called out 1,000 officers to deal with an estimated crime.
Yeah, because that's the fucking point. That's why we have a system of the police. You're not supposed to be able to outright inflict violence upon other people. That's why we give the monopoly to cops. The only time you're supposed to be able to like inflict violence onto somebody else is if they inflict violence onto you first. What other solution do we have besides an organized body having that monopoly on violence? I don't understand. Otherwise, let's go back to the Wild West and let everybody have the fucking let's just distribute violence to everybody. You get to decide the discretion of violence you get to apply to every individual situation, as opposed to an organized body like the police. Like, I'm not like sucking the police's dicks and shit like that, but like, bro, we need some kind of system to be able to fucking deal with violence that is put against society.
Crowd of 2,000. Yeah, they were saying it was 8,000, but I think it was less than that. But still, it was a crazy scene. It definitely got out of control. It could have been much, much worse. And I'm glad that it didn't. Okay, that's it. Unless there's like additional information that I'm not privy to. Anyone that's like taking this above and beyond, utilizing this for like additional narratives about how like violent black teenagers are out of control or crime is running rampant in big cities is a fucking silly bitch. It was rowdy for approximately an hour. And at first the cops were doing a decent job of like dispersing.
In an ideal world, we wouldn't need police, but we're not in an ideal world. And I think that like, it's an easy target. It's an easy thing to like criticize the police, even though you goddamn know if some shit happens that you can't deal with, you call the police. Like, you have to.
Dispersing the crowd without using any violent tactics. And then the riot gear came. So now it's like hunting for sport time. You know what I mean? Now they're collecting double overtime. You know what I'm saying? What's the operational budget in New York City Police Department? Woo! Woo! $29 million a day, baby. Woo! That's it.
A day? $29 million a day? $29 million a day? What the fuck? Like Dave Chappelle said, what are you gonna do? Call the cop? Oh, call the Crips. Yeah, like what the fuck? Budget. 234 million. There's no way it's 29. Wait. Current fiscal 2023 budget is $5.83 billion, approximately 5.4% larger than the agency's fiscal 2023 adopted budget of $5.53 billion and 234 million, or 4.2% larger than the budget presented in the preliminary plan. It's $5 billion. I mean, that is our most fucking, what is it? Population. That's like our most population dense city in the world, isn't it? If that's the case, you're going to need a lot of cops.
29 mil. What are you gonna do? You're just fucking dude. A lot of double overtime, baby.
Within the Union Square, people broke into
Holy
the park
shit.
and they began to throw articles that belong to the construction site, paint cans, bottles, rocks. You had people walking around with shovels, axes, and other tools from the construction
Dude,
trade.
shut the fuck up.
What are you talking about? What if that's actually what was happening? Also, how the fuck are you gonna say it's white supremacy and tell this motherfucker to shut the fuck up and say that like everybody's gonna criticize the black kids when it's a black cop? Because they're part of a system of white supremacy. Look, like, dude, he's just stating what's happened. Unless you believe like every time a cop comes on when they disagree with you that like they're lying and shit. How much is a cop's salary in New York? Let's see. Of a cop in New York. Oh wow, $43,000 to $75,000 per year, and they have how many cops are there? So let's say 43,000 is the low end. We'll say 50,000. So, how many cops work in 36,000? Oh, wow. 36,000 plus 19,000 civilian employees. So 36,000 officers. So 58? No, 50. I'm a dipshit. Don't know how to do math. 45. 55,000. And then 55,000 times 50,000. Oh, what the fuck, bro? Oh my God. 55, 1, 2, 3 times 50, 1, 2, 3. Boom. Yeah, that's already $2 billion. Coming in on $3 billion. Already just the bodies that are there, $3 billion. So a lot of that extra cost is, oh my God, wait, no, it was like $5 billion total. Holy shit. Wait. Is it actually, holy fuck? What is the, NYPD budget? There's only $2 billion after that to be able to afford equipment. Holy shit. A majority of that budget is just paying for bodies.
Yeah, dude, the teenagers had axes. They wanted to chop police heads off.
Dude, you're an actual brain dead retard. I hate this fucking, Dude, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that they had these equipments that they stole, like they took this equipment off of construction sites.
I died. A teenager killed me. I'm actually a ghost. We had to defend ourselves against rowdy teenagers. Guys.
How does this guy call himself a political fucking like commentator? How does he call himself a political commentator at all in the slightest? When he's listening to somebody give the facts of the fucking case? Like, bro, how? He's giving the facts of the case, stating like, hey, like addressing the people being like, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't understand what your fucking value is on this fucking site, dude.
We had to defend ourselves. Said it was a violent and kinetic situation where a bunch of teenage men, fully grown adult teenager children, men were violently and tactically putting us in a kinetic circumstance that we had to react in appropriate, aggressive manner. Would you be covering this the same way if it had been Jason Aldean and a bunch of hogs? Would I be covering this the same way if it was a bunch of adult men, probably armed and like?
Oh my God, he's still downplaying it, dude. You don't even know the like demographics of the people that are there. And also, just by seeing a lot of those fucking, like a lot of that footage, they're not 12-year-olds. They're not kids. Like this is just, you're just lying. You're lying.
A southern state? No. You want to know why? Because stuff like that happens all the time. Except the cops don't do anything. Because why the fuck would they? They're in the crowd. Last time this happened, it was an insurrection in January 6th. Kai Cenat is being charged with inciting a riot, unlawful assembly, and more. He will be multiple counts after a video game giveaway led thousands of people to overrun Union Square Park on Friday. Police say he will be charged with at least 2 counts of inciting a riot, unlawful assembly, among others. During an evening brief, authorities said 64 people were arrested, including 30 juveniles. 30 juveniles were arrested. The event was unpermitted, not sanctioned, and grew rapidly to thousands of young people who NYPD Chief Department Jeffrey Maddie said attacked officers instead of complying with orders to leave. The chief implored parents to step in. I had thousands of kids out there. I needed thousands of parents, Madry said. When it gets to the point where it's disorderly, we want the parents to come and take control. 3 officers were injured during the mayhem, 2 of which were taken to a nearby hospital. 1 sergeant suffered a broken hand. Over the last few days, Cenat, one of the most popular streamers on the video game website, thousands of people showed up and took over the park and roads bordering it as police struggled to contain them. Just before 5 p.m., police gained the upper hand on the crowd as many people began to disperse. NYPD sources told Eyewitness News they did not want to arrest people and they did not want to escalate the situation further. Despite that guidance, Eyewitness News observed several arrests made as prisoners were loaded onto an MTA bus. I personally observed young people walking out with their heads bleeding from their heads, bleeding from their faces. I personally observed young people having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, asthma attacks. People were suffering out here. It was a lot of people. It was uncontrolled. It took us a while to get it under control, and a lot of young people got hurt, Madry said. Bro, I love when they're like, a lot of young people got hurt, which is why, you know, we arrested 65 young people. One thing that...
Well, what else are you supposed to do if they're fucking not complying? If they don't leave, you arrest them. Like, it's a lawful order. Like, you leave. Like, what the fuck are we even saying? Just because they're fucking kids doesn't mean they're, like, above the law. I don't understand what he's even trying to say here. He's, like, so... I don't know what the fuck, but he's, like, so hinged on the fact that they were young or juveniles. But, like, juvenile could just mean, like, under 18. Like, I don't understand what you're even saying here. He's trying to, like, present this in a way that makes people think that, like, it's 12-year-olds when it's not fucking 12-year-olds.
That we love to do when, you know, people are being hurt is like, well, where's our...
Like, how are you supposed to protect those kids if you don't if they don't comply. There's other kids in that crowd that are probably like just trying to leave also. There's like, okay, I'll listen to the fucking police or whatever, blah, 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 dipping out. And then there's fucking some dipshits, like a bunch of dipshits trying to fucking fight back. Like, you have to arrest them.
Piece, you know what I mean? NYPD has recovered evidence from social media that Cenat was out of his vehicle and interacted with a large crowd before he left Union Square. Detectives are currently questioning him, but no determination has been made onto whether charges will be filed. To gain the upper hand on the mob, the NYPD flooded the scene and pushed the crowd away, making sure they didn't come back towards Union Square. Robert Boyce, former NYPD chief of detectives, said that it's important to understand that the streams of kids running away from people, they could create mayhem somewhere else. They have to be followed. He added, this isn't over by a long shot. There's a lot of work ahead. Holy fuck. They're like, there's a lot of work ahead. We are going to be arresting every 12-year-old in the 5 boroughs. Do you understand me? Upon arriving over the scene, eyewitness news reporter Shannon Son in Newscopter 7 reported seeing groups of police officers holding up pieces of plywood and taking cover behind cars that were struck on the 14th Street because of the crowd as they were pelted by objects thrown from the mass of people. There was construction happening near the 14th Street subway station, and people in the crowd had grabbed and were throwing paint cans and other equipment. They climbed on top of the gazebo, which covers the subway, as well as George Washington statue, which depicts the former president riding a horse. Service has been resumed. A number of drivers were trapped in their cars and were surrounded by the crowd as it was shut down. A sheer number of people and their seeming desire to get a glimpse of Cenat and a group of people with him, which created a dangerous situation of massive people moving and shoving. A woman who arrived in Union Square on the subway with her baby daughter, run some errands, said it was really hectic. She waited it out cowering in an ATM lobby, but to come and make a mess of not just the city, I understand.
Like, how do you not give a fuck about somebody like that? Like the standard people that are like walking around in the subways and shit. Like, how do you not give a fuck? Like, I don't understand. Like, why would you not give a fuck about the people that were affected by this shit? Like, this lady, how is it? He's saying shit like this is all white supremacy. Like, all the people who are going to be covering this shit, the reason that this is getting covered in this way is because of white supremacy. But the people that are being affected are black people. Like this lady, this with her fucking kid that's apparently hiding in the ATM fucking lobby. Like, this is such a brain dead take. Fucking dude's wearing a Rolex hat. Like,
if you're a Kai Cenat
Communist,
fan,
by the way.
later an SUV believed to be carrying Cenat drove away from the scene with about a dozen people who were hanging on the side and clinging on to the top of the SUV. That was like the worst part, I think.
Oh, also, by the way, these motherfuckers took off. Like, the Kai Cenat, the Twitch streamer, and like his posse were in a black SUV, and there were people hanging on the side of the SUV, and fucking Kai, like whoever the driver was driving off with people hanging on the side of the fucking car. And then kids were falling off. The kids. Like, bro.
I think that was the absolute worst part. Many of them were seen falling from the vehicle. Shortly after that, a bus on the 14th Street became the focus of a large part of the crowd, with some people climbing on top of the bus as they seemed to believe Cenat was inside. Police officers could be seen taking people into custody outside the bus, and video later showed people inside the bus apparently handcuffed. While police worked to set up a barricade, hundreds of people ran away. NYPD loudspeaker could be heard instructing people in the crowd to disperse. The crowd finally appeared to begin to disperse around 4:45. The NYPD...
I've had an urge to make a video on Hasan for a long ass time. I have one written out, and I'm just like, I could pull the trigger on it, and I'm just like,
He said it recovered evidence showing Cenat was out of his vehicle and interacted with a large crowd before he left Union Square. What do you mean, like, evidence? Yeah, he streamed it. Why are they making it seem like this was, like, secret?
It's so fucked because, like, he views everything so much, like, by race, and it's crazy to me. Because he is so inconsistent with this kind of view that he has about race. Oh my God. He doesn't actually give a fuck about being anti-racist. He is just like, he is solely fixed on like anti-racism, that he's only fixated on the racism that is going to get him like brownie points. He doesn't actually give a fuck fundamentally about like being against racism. And that's like my biggest problem with him. Because he's like capitalizing off of the fact that he's just saying words and shit like that, saying all the good words that will get his side to believe that he's like a good person and shit like that, when he's actually like probably a deplorable fucking human being.
He uncovered damning evidence of Kai Cenat from the little-known website Twitch.tv, where he seemingly...
Video?
Huh?
What's holding you back from doing the video?
I just don't really want to take time to do it.
Fair enough.
Like, I've already written it out, and like what's the fucking point? Like, like everybody already knows. Like, the people who like know, and like
it's true.
It's all like an ideological like fucking thing. Like, I'm just gonna put the video out, and the only people that are gonna fucking watch the video or give a fuck about the video are people who already agree with me, and I don't give a fuck about that. Like, I just don't care. Like, it's just gonna be me putting so much effort into this fucking video. And like
to find out what everyone
to find
knows
out
already.
like, yeah, people already fucking understand this shit. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about racism. If it was the 1950s, his main focus would be capitalizing on shit. Like, he is the best capitalist in the fucking world. Because he's like capitalizing off the fact that, or he is marketing communism. So like, oh, he's so fucking bad, dude. Like, but people already know this, and the only people that are going to like, the only people that are gonna give like nobody's gonna give a fuck. Nobody's gonna give a fuck about my video. The only people that are gonna give a fuck about my video are gonna be people who already know this shit. Like, fuck them, dude. Just gonna be preaching to the choir, and like, I don't give a fuck about that. And then like, even if it does reach like 500,000 views or 1 million views or some shit like that, nobody's gonna change their mind. Like, nobody's gonna change their mind. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, nobody gives a fuck.
Just be shouting to the void.
Yeah, it's just me screaming into the void, and then it's just me trying to capitalize on it too. Like, that's really what it ends up coming down to.
And it's just
like,
Ouroboros just eating itself. Just the same shit.
It doesn't even matter. Like, the only way I do it is if I'm live streaming and then I have the criticisms at the time, and then I just like, I don't know, have somebody fucking just post videos for me. You know what I mean? Like, pay an editor and be like, hey, I just live streamed for like 12 hours, cut out like 5 videos. And if one of them is about Hasan, like, make it look good. Doesn't want to go through. Is it the same struggle it took to make the Ethan Klein video? I was just so heavily involved in that, like, being there. I watched so much of that shit happen that I was like, fuck this. I'm making this video. And then I like did it, and nobody gives a fuck. Like, it's just so... It's a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, people know, people understand. Everybody's split off in their own fucking worlds, their own ideological sides and shit like that. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't. There's like no
one's
change.
open-minded.
Well, it's not even about being open-minded. It's just that, like, it doesn't have any like real change unless you're like bigger. Maybe it has some kind of change, but I would have to actively be that type of person to like dedicate myself to trying to like convince other people of other things. And like, yeah, it's cool and all, but like, I don't know. I would just much more rather spend my time not like worried about like other people lost in this world and then like trying to like find myself. You know what I mean?
He was streaming. Ultimately, the charges are understandable. They're trying to hit him with the book, which I get. It's a double whammy because, one, it's yet another influencer causing chaos with teenagers that want to go see him. In the eyes of the news and in the eyes of people in positions of power, older boomers, they see this as like, oh, we got to make an example out of this kid. Like, we got to do some deterrence, right? But also, he's black, and a lot of his fans are black. So then it's a double whammy because then it's like you're basically creating an opportunity for all...
No. Most people, I do not think, are in an echo chamber. There's a lot of people who, when presented with new information, won't just like disregard that new information. They'll take that new information and it'll dictate their worldview to be different. Like, if I'm presented with new information, I'll be like, okay, let me think about this for a little bit. Like, how often do you get fed content that conflicts with their ideals? I think everybody does every day, but like, if you're like, an actual echo chamber would necessarily be like, you see new information and you already have mechanisms in place to disregard that information because you already have a set ideology that you're like focused on. But I think most people aren't in that like same regard. Like, if you present somebody with like new information, they'll change and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know that actually. You know what I mean? I feel like most people are like that, but it's the most radical people like Hasan who are in echo chambers because it benefits them. And also because like I'm saying, he's literally out throughout this entire video, he's the one instilling this lens of racism into this whole story. When all it is like, no, these guys did something bad, and that's what they're covering. The news is covering the bad shit that happened. Kai is getting charged with the shit that he did because he did it. Has nothing to do with him being black, has nothing to do with those kids being black or anything like that. He's just instilling it with this like light because that's his ideology. That is his echo chamber. And any other information that gets presented to him will be disregarded because he has those mechanisms in place to be able to just like shut it off. I think that some people, like let's say Hasan or whatever, if you present to him like all the facts, all the statistics, all the shit about why capitalism is better than communism, he won't change from it. Like he can't change from it. He's ideologically aligned with it so hard that like it would be the end of his career pretty much if he was like, you know what, actually capitalism is better, because his whole shit is being a communist. Like that is his shit. He has no other choice. Like that is his echo chamber. But me, I don't give a fuck if it's communism or capitalism. Whichever one works better for all of humans to be able to function better together and shit like that, cool. But like I'm not tied to some fucking tool. Like I view these systems as tools, but he views these systems morally. So like there's a moral weight to being like a capitalist. There's a moral weight to being a communist or some shit like that. So do you think you need to have an incentive to be in an echo chamber? There has to. Do you think you need to have an incentive to be in an echo chamber? I mean, there is incentive to be in an echo chamber. Like the main incentive is that you have your answers, like, you know, like you don't have to think about shit. You already have like a pre-built manual of like what is right, what is wrong. It's similar to like religion and shit like that. That is the incentive because it is nice. It's nice to be able to just say like, oh, this is the way the world works. It's super easy to just go with that worldview. So that's the incentive, is that it's just easy. But if you're outside of like an echo chamber, you have to like think about shit. Like you can't just like take things as they are or like assign moral weight to like something that isn't really necessary, like a system of economics, like capitalism or communism or shit like that. But like that's the problem with like being a part of like an ideologue, you know what I mean? Because you're locked in, like that's it. Like if you build yourself in this way, like you've already built up the fact that like you think the other side is so like evil. Anybody who disagrees with you is like bad. That's the incentive. It's easy. That's the same shit with like religious people. It's like, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. Like that's the incentive. It's like easy. I already know my morals, you know? It would be easy to just like take all the Hasan talking points and just like be like, oh, I'm a communist, blah, blah, blah. Fuck the police. Cops are bastards. Fucking, capitalism ruins everything. Black people are always being blamed for everything. Shit like that. It's like, it's so fucking easy because you have an audience of people who are going to like suck you off for saying the dumbest shit.
All the other people that are like, well, this is mob activity, these are thugs, you know, all the people that say that kind of shit are also out there looking for blood. Yeah, he did a bad job organizing this, obviously. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But ultimately, I would say, while he does bear some responsibility for the mismanagement and the misorganization, he will most likely have good lawyers talk down the charges, and there will absolutely be like a plea deal, and it'll be like a slap on the wrist, like a minor fine at the end of the day. Hello, if you're at this event and were assaulted by the NYPD, take photos of any injuries, go to the hospital and get a medical report, write down everything that happened, every single thing, get names and info for potential witnesses, and find a civil lawyer now. True, exactly. If you got your ass beat by a cop, you should absolutely sue the NYPD.
Chat, how much people you think gonna be there? 45K, 1,000, 5,000, 1,000, 10,000, 2,000, 10,000. Bro, there's no way I could pull out 10,000 people, bro.
They were hyping it up. What the fuck? They were hyping it up beforehand. This shit's crazy. So it was planned. It wasn't like a spontaneous, like, hey, I'm here. In the next 10 minutes, show up. They planned it out and they told them where they were going.
I feel like 500. Never. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep. I'm crazy. Now, how much do you think gonna pop out?
He's like, oh, it's just 500.
Actually, fucking stupid. Hold up. Back it up. How many subscribers does he have right now? 100,000 subscribers.
You talking about the Kai Cenat shit?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He has 100,000 concurrent subscribers, dude. And you went to Twitch? Yes, on Twitch. That's crazy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
In 1 month, 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, they organized the event and all that, and they had like no security or anything.
You go to the most population dense fucking city in the entire world? Actually crazy. And that's Kai's hometown. No shit, that's gonna be the fucking most hype place that all of his fans are gonna be. They're like, oh, I'm like Kai, I'm from New York too. What the fuck?
I hate how they were like, yeah,
2,000.
we didn't anticipate this many people. Like, okay.
Actually brain dead. 500? Bro, you drop a video and you get like 20,000 views in like 5 minutes. If that, 100,000 in like under an hour. Easy.
Bro, there's no way I could pull out 10,000 people, bro.
Dumb.
I feel like 500. Never. I'm not gonna keep it crazy. Now, how much do you think gonna pop out?
He's like, oh, it's just 500. I'm sure he thought it would be more than that, but
First meet and greet ever. This is technically my first pop out shit. This is first meet and greet ever. This is gonna be crazy.
bro, he should have listened to his homie though, for real. Like, cause he was right, and Kai was very wrong. His friend was like,
Jesus, yeah, Hasan's like just the dumbest fucking person online. Like, honestly, somehow Kai Cenat is not as dumb as this motherfucker.